Hey everybody, thanks for joining me once again. Today we're going to talk about a company called Fuelox. I had them on my show a little better than 6 months ago. We talked about their product line. They have some fuel additives, some lubricants, grease, antigel, and we talked a great deal about their products and the company. And people keep asking, do they work? What kind of results do you get? And my answer to that usually is you have to test these things over a long period of time. Okay? It's not fair to dump a product in your fuel tank and right away say, oh, I got half a mile per gallon better fuel economy. Or, oh, this happened, oh, that happened. You sometimes could tell if there's minor differences, if the truck is running different, something like that. But I like to test things over a very long period of time and give them a fair, practical test. So I'm going to talk about today the Fuelox, what they call, this is the original, this is the one they call the fuel catalyst. And I want to talk about this one today and some of the other products, but this is the one people primarily want to know about. It will help you with fuel economy and your regeneration system, your after treatment system. There's only, as far as I know, maybe one other product on the market like it. This is not like Lucas or Howes or Power Service. This is different. Okay. So the truck we tested this on, first let's talk about that because it's important. It was a 2015 Mack Pinnacle with an MP8 engine, 420,000 miles. Okay, but that's not all we need to know. We need to know, okay, if I tell you I got X results from the product, and you say, well, that's no big deal. I get that all the time. Well, you have to know the equipment too, okay? So this is a 2015 Mack Pinnacle, 420,000 miles. When we started this test, it had been about 280,000 miles since the DPF canister was baked, since it was removed from the truck and cleaned by a shop, okay? Which is kind of important. And then we had not owned this truck much longer than that, but the place we bought it had the truck in its lease program, so they did all the maintenance. They have all the maintenance records. I got all the maintenance records, so I know when and where things were done. Work was not done at an outside shop. So the dozer injector was not new. It was original. The knock sensors are not new. They were original. And like I said, the DPF canister had not been burned off in roughly 280,000 miles. So we're not starting with a new truck. We're not starting with a truck that you can say, well, I just replaced the whole emission system, so I wouldn't regen, or I wouldn't do this, or I wouldn't regen that often, whatever. That's where we're starting, okay? So started using the catalyst in, I think just before January, about January 1st, in that truck. And use it according to the label instructions, 1 ounce per 80 gallons. Okay. Now, I guess the first thing I want to say is in that little better than 6-month period, the truck has never, not once, asked for a parked regen. Which, knowing history of the trucks, knowing it's an older truck, knowing it has that many miles on all those components, and the DPF canister had not been baked off for some time, that to me is a pretty significant result. I know guys that have much newer trucks that it's asking for a parked regen every other week, sometimes once a week. Now, it's also important to note there was significant idling on that truck that has an electric APU, but it does not keep up. It does not keep the truck warm enough in the cold, and especially in the heat now, it does not cool enough, so the driver does idle the truck. So the truck does have significant idle time on it. That idle time is an important component to regenerations, and a lot of times the truck asking for a parked regen. The more you idle, the more the truck is going to need to regen. So that's important to say, that it's the same operating conditions as everybody else. It's not like the driver's home every night where the truck gets parked and never gets idled. Very similar circumstance. So that being said, think about your truck. How many miles are on it? How old are the components, the emissions components? And how often is your truck asking for a parked regen? Now, you might say, I have a truck. It doesn't ask me for a park regen in 6 months either. Well, are you driving a brand new Cascadia? Are you driving a brand new, Peterbilt or a 1-year-old truck? This is a 6-year-old truck with the original emissions components, and it has not asked for a park regen in over 6 months, which is a substantial change to what we would see, and it's substantially different. Now I have 4 trucks like that in the fleet. 2 2015s, a 2016, and a 2014. They all have essentially the same MP8 motor. The mileages, with the exception of one is just over 600,000 miles, one is about 580,000 miles. The other 2 are right in that 450 category now. So the trucks are in very similar mileage ranges, and the other ones ask for parked regens. One other guy is now using the fuel lock, so it doesn't ask quite as often. And the 2 other ones, I just did a parked regen one 2 days ago. And then the other one a week and a half ago. So that's, to me, is a notable difference. To me, with an emission system old like that, it tells me that it is doing its regens going down the road more efficiently. It's able to build the kind of heat it needs to not ask for a parked regen, and which saves you fuel right there. When you're doing a parked regen, it's going to use more fuel, it's going to use more def, and that alone saves fuel. So let's talk about, so let's talk about that truck too. What maintenance had been done over this 6-month time period to make sure that it's apples to apples? Blew a coolant line and ended up putting a coolant surge tank on because it cracked. And just the other day, a water pump. So that's the maintenance that's been done on that truck. It's not like we're doing other things. I'm trying to keep good records, do as fair a comparison as possible. Now, fuel economy. Here's what everybody wants to know. Here's the thing. And this is merely my opinion. So you're perfectly entitled to your opinion. Fuel economy is one of those things that has to be measured over a very long period of time. Not just a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months. Okay? Because we started using this in January, and it is now 6 months later. And I will say the driver says he has noticed a substantial difference in fuel economy. However, during that time, what did we experience? You went from winter fuel to summer fuel. You went from 0 degrees, minus 10 degrees, up to 70, 80 degrees. That's going to give you a natural boost in fuel economy. So what we need to be able to measure is time periods, year over year, maybe first quarter last year versus first quarter this year. I do not have that information yet. That takes more than a year to compile, but that's how I like to do it. However, I will say the driver says substantial increase in fuel economy, nearing the half mile per gallon mark. That is what the driver that drives that truck every day claims. Okay, now, other things to consider in that. Once again, mechanical condition of the truck. If you have a truck that's operating at peak efficiency, it's brand new, emission system is working as it should, it's not using extra fuel to do regens, you may not see the kind of increase. Or if you have a truck that is like ours, it's an older truck, has a lot of miles on it, a lot of age on it, original components, you may see more. I don't know. It's going to depend on everybody. Efficiency, peak efficiency will improve overall. Okay? It's just my 2015 Mac is not the same as your 2022 Cascadia. Everybody needs to understand that. In products that make a claim straight across the board, 8% fuel economy increase, I don't think that's a fair statement. But I will say, driver has noted substantial fuel economy increase, and I will report back in a year when I have that data, because I don't like to just throw out numbers. Honestly, it doesn't speak to credibility and an honest assessment when you just start throwing things out that you don't have all the data to back it up. But that being said, the emissions issues alone will make me continue to run this in each and every one of our trucks. Now, let's talk about some of the other products. Incidentally, if you want to get your hands on some of this, fuelox.com, and I have a promo code diysemi to save yourself 15% off of every order. Going to put a link in the description below this video for that. Now, we already had long conversations about the antigel. We'll continue to use this forever. Got some owner operators leased on. They love it. They will continue to use it. Number one, because of the storage size. Number two, no issues with gel, and it's cold. We run in the cold all the time. Some of the newer products, I've been doing some different things with them, and it's going to take some time also to get some hard, numbers and results out of this too. But I'm going to give you my first impressions, okay? This Infinity Lube spray lubricant. This is one of my favorites now. It obviously doesn't have the squirt top on here. This is an unopened bottle. Very, very good as a lubricant. I'm surprised. Really liking it. Chains. Took this stuff to my wife's elliptical machine. That damn thing squeaks incessantly, forever. It hasn't squeaked since I put this. And no bad smell, no harsh smell, and pretty non-toxic. You get it on your skin, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you to, be inhaling the fumes and give you freaking migraines like some of that stuff, like fluid film. God, I can't stand the smell of that stuff. So try that. I think you'll really like it. Now the grease. All right, let's talk about the grease. I think this might become one of my favorites. Liking the grease. Okay. Now let's talk about trucking. Trucking is a fairly punishing environment on certain components. You got a truck going down the road and things are pounding and pinging against each other. You got U-joints spinning at a high RPM. But I wanted to try this in some different environments. So I've given a couple tubes to some farmers that I know, because there's some unique situations in farming. Number one, in the barn where you have the cows, there's a gutter that holds all the poop and urine, and there's scrapers in there that go around to clean them out. And there's bearings in the scraper, there's pivots in there that the chain has to go around, Anyway, it's submerged in a very acidic environment all day. Urine and manure, and those bearings get eaten alive. Got a couple people trying this, and they say they're having pretty good results. You end up replacing those bearings more than you want to. It's a dirty, nasty job. And also in feed carts, okay? So when you feed cows, you put the feed into these big carts and you run it down the aisle, and it augers out the feed into the mangers for the cows. For silage, there's a lot of dust in these rooms where you're filling these carts, and it gets all in the bearings in the feed carts and just ruins them. You're replacing those bearings a good couple times a year, and this has helped. It's helped immensely. Haven't replaced a bearing in one of those since. Typically would have at least once by now, and showing no signs of needing it. The grease is staying in place. It's getting still gets a lot of dirt intrusion, and there's not a lot you can do. Trust me, everything's been tried to keep that out. But this is helping really well keep that lubricated. And I've tried it in the truck. My truck is very old. I'm going to be trying it in some new trucks, but I like it in my truck. It stays in place. When you go to re-grease it, it doesn't take much grease at all. And going to be getting with the inventor and try and show some lubricity tests and stuff on this. And finally, the friction eliminator. I finally got around to putting this in my truck, and I like it. First impression, all I can give you is first impression, because it's been about 6 weeks since I did my oil change. Put this in the crankcase, and I did notice that motor smoothed out nice. So, and that motor has a little over 1 million miles on it. So I'm looking forward to getting the test results out of this, and I'm going to be putting it in that same Mac that we've been testing this product in. And I'm going to put it in there and not tell the driver and see if he notices any difference. And I'll report back on that. But liking the liquid friction eliminator. So I would just encourage you to try these products. Try for yourself. Everybody can benefit, even if you don't have any emissions motor. See, my truck, I've used this in my truck, my personal truck, for 3 years now. Been using this and the antigel. Only thing is, my personal truck has a 12.7 Detroit in it with no emissions on it. So I don't have an emission system to compare this to in my truck. So I'm happy to be able to do that test in another truck, finally with an emission system on it. But I also have seen a fuel economy increase in that truck, and just the truck seems to run better, especially at idle. It has a smoother idle to it when I use the FuelOx catalyst. So definitely check out these products. Go to fuelox.com. Use that promo code diysemi to get 15% off. And check out the links in the description below. And we will see you again next time, and have a good day.